Hey guys, welcome back to a new video. In this video, I'm going to be talking about Misty versus Winter. Winter is the inverse fund of Misty or MicroStrategy, and I'm just going to be talking about them, comparing them, or not really comparing them, but talking about when I'm going to start investing in Winter, when might be the best time to start doing that. But before we do that, I'll quickly go through what I've been buying this week, as I usually do. So just quickly, I bought more YETH, which is the only non-YieldMax high yielding ETF that I have. It's from Roundhill, not YieldMax, so it's YETH, and that's the Ethereum ETF. So, because I'm pretty like Ethereum's been tanking, it's been doing badly, but I'm pretty bullish on it. I think it will recover really well because I think this is going to be a huge crypto bull cycle. I think Bitcoin's going to go really well. I think Ethereum and all the alts are going to do really well. So I bought 63 more shares of that before it starts to pump. SMCY, I think there was some news on their earnings. They slightly altered the projections, which was a little bit more negative than what they had originally. So that started dumping. So I bought it at 18.20 and then it dumped even more. So I bought again at 16.93. I think that's just a great price for SMCY. In my opinion, it's one of the best YieldMax ETFs. It's high volatility, so it gives a good distribution, but it's also got a much higher target price than what it's trading at now. So I think that's a really good buy, and it's still kind of trading around there, I think. So still probably a good opportunity. Coney, we had the distribution. What did the distribution come out at this week? It was much better than last time. We had 65 cents for Coney. I've got over 4,000 shares. So that was $2,600, 3,600 in net Australian, which is where I'm at, which was a higher distribution than last month. It was 43 cents. So things are looking good for crypto. It's starting to rise. I think things are going to go really well for the rest of this year. And these the share prices of not only Coney, Misty, LFGY are going to get higher, and the distributions therefore are going to get bigger. So I think now is still a great time to be investing in Coney, Misty, LFGY, Marrow, those kind of ETFs in the YieldMax universe. So yeah, I bought more into Coney after the distribution came out at 7.42. That's still just a great price. It hasn't actually recovered nearly as well as Misty has. So I'm still going to be buying into Coney because my average price on Coney is $12.75. My average price on Misty is $26.17, but Misty is already at $25. It's already recovered quite a lot. So I'll probably switch to Coney, even though I prefer Misty to Coney. I think it's more volatile. I think it will do better in terms of recovery rate and everything, but I'll probably still buy more Coney whilst it's at a very low price. The other one is XYZY. This is a new position for me. I think it was previously called SQY. I don't know a huge amount about the underlying stock, but when I read into it and did the research, they had some bad earnings reports, and it dropped from I think it was on $11 to $9. And so I got in because I did some research on the targets and everything, and I think it's a good position. And I just thought, I'll give it a go. The market's been down really bad. And then these compounded things with their earnings information, and I thought it was just a good opportunity to buy in. So I did. So yeah, that's it. So what else did we get for this week? We got Coney, we got AMDY, that came in at 33 cents. CVNY, that's one of my newer funds, $2.68. I got in a great price at $27. That's my average cost price for CVNY, which kind of works out at 115% distribution. So even though it wasn't actually as good as previous months, but that was really good. LFGY back doing well because crypto and Bitcoin is doing better again, 47. I think this is only going to go up into the 50s and 60 cents type mark for every week going forward. Obviously later on when Bitcoin gets back over that 100K mark. YMAG, 10 cents is pretty good. And then ALT. People are big fans of ALT on the YieldMax Facebook group. I've kind of lost faith in it a bit. I just feel like it's not going to recover nearly as well as some of the other funds. Will PLTY is smashing it again. Like for instance, PLTY, my average cost price is 64, which is actually a little bit high, but it's already trading again at like $67 PLTY. Go to PLTY. It's already at 66, so I'm already in profit on that. And the distributions are just amazing, like $5 a time. They're real good, so it's only going to get better. Okay, but back to what I wanted to talk about, which was Misty versus Winter. Now, Winter is the inverse fund with a short on MicroStrategy. So it is literally just an inverse. When MicroStrategy is doing well, its price is going to go down. And when MicroStrategy is doing badly, so in a Bitcoin bear market, then Winter is going to go up and MicroStrategy and Misty will go down. So now, I'm very bullish on Misty and MicroStrategy and Bitcoin. I think that we are just kind of entering this second phase. I actually think that this was kind of a mini bull rally, and that the major phase of this bull market is just coming up now. And I think, as I've spoken about in my previous videos, I actually think that Misty will easily be at the $40 mark again, 45 pretty easily. I could potentially even see it being $50, $60 because my projection for Bitcoin, for BTC, is 180, maybe 200,000 by the end of this year, end of 2025, and possibly 250, 300,000 even by the middle of 2026. Now, I think the bull cycle, so Bitcoin is very cyclical. It works in kind of a 4-year cycle. I'll show you here. This is kind of how the Bitcoin cycle works. It goes through a bull rally and then it goes through a bear market. And I think that the bull rally is kind of getting extended. This is what a lot of the experts are saying because of financial institution money coming in, because of US government creating a Bitcoin reserve where they're going to be buying 1 million Bitcoin, where retail is buying, where MicroStrategy keeps buying ridiculous sums. MicroStrategy got over 500,000, over $500,000. BlackRock have got over 500,000. There's just so many bullish factors that there's so much supply shortage because Bitcoin only has 21 million Bitcoin, that there's just not going to be enough Bitcoin to be able to service all these institutions, governments, countries, retail, everything. All these companies that are now trying to copy the MicroStrategy way of creating a Bitcoin treasury company. Jack Mallers' company just started doing it, and it's just going to make Bitcoin go absolutely nuts, in my opinion. So my projections of 250, 300 actually a little bit conservative. You see some people, they're thinking 500 to 1 million this cycle, this bull run. So, but I'm thinking, conservatively base case 250, possibly 300, and then we'll go into a bear market. So that's, that has happened cycle after cycle after cycle. Like, it's pretty, transparent about what happens. You go through the bull, you hit the peak, you go into a bear market. And that's what I believe will happen again. And that's why it's important to, if you're heavy in Misty, which I am, and Coney, and all these Bitcoin long funds, if you like, then you also need to start building a position for when the bear market, when the crypto winter, so to speak. Well, I see lots of people like, yeah, but if you're a Misty, what about the crypto winter? Well, then you've got to plan for that, right? But because Misty will maybe go up to $40, $50 a share, but then it's going to come back down to that $20 a share again, most likely, because these bear markets, can be pretty brutal. A lot of them are 70% down on what they were, 70, 80% down in some years. So if it goes to 200K, let's say it's 200, it's not even 250, 300, 200, then it comes down 70%. You're looking at under 100K there. So you want to be prepared for that. And that's why I think winter is going to be a good fund, as well as fiat. So that's Coney's inverse fund, or Coinbase's inverse fund. So fiat and winter, I'm going to start building up positions. When we start getting into this big part of the rally, and I'm just going to go into it here. So where are we? So this Misty will go a year. All right, so we obviously started here last year. We had that big bull rally, went up to $44 a share. We were getting distributions of like $4, $3, $4. Then it came down, which is kind of where we are now. And then it's been this kind of rough patch with the Trump tariffs and Bitcoin coming down, and now we're going to go into this big Bitcoin and crypto rally, in my opinion. And so so the distributions for Misty are going to be like $3-4 again around here. This is just what I think is going to happen. And then it's around this time when Misty starts hitting this $35-40 mark that you want to start getting into winter. Now, winter, it started off pretty well because, because Bitcoin was still coming down. So it was going up. And now Bitcoin has started to recover. MicroStrategy has started to recover and start to go up. And so it's come down. So it is now, so it started at $50 like every of the YieldMax funds do, and it went up, and now it's coming down. And it's, in my opinion, it's going to continue going down until kind of the end of this bull rally. So I think it will probably come down to, fiat's at what? Fiat's a good one to look at because that's essentially a very similar play to winter. If we look from all right, so let's do 6 months because it's not giving us a lot there. But you can see, actually, it looks terrible here. 3 months. Let's do that. So it went up, obviously, as the Bitcoin price came down. It was down in like $6 mark, and then it went up to like $9.60, and then it's come back down to $6.70. But I think that when Misty and Coney are back at those kind of premium levels, Coney at maybe $14-15, then this is going to be like $3-4, and that's going to be the time to be getting in. But how do you know when to get in? And what do you do? Do you sell some Misty? So my strategy is to hold. I've got over 4,000 shares of Misty, and I've got over 4,000 shares of Coney. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably keep most of my Misty shares, because if it also depends on how high it goes. If it goes to 40, then I'll probably sell a decent percentage of my Misty funds around here. And then I'll start putting them into winter and fiat. But if it goes up to 60, like say we have a huge Bitcoin run and it goes up to like $60, I probably will sell much less, and I'll just be using the dividends that I make from Misty to then put them into fiat in winter. The reason for that is because if Misty gets to $60, like all the way, let's say it goes all the way up here, actually even further than that, like up here, then I don't believe that the bear market will cause it to come all the way back down to 17, 18 again. I think it will probably come back down to maybe 32, 34, in which case Misty is still a good play and we'll still be getting decent-ish distributions depending on what your average cost price is. As I said just now, my average cost price is $26. So if Misty only comes down to 30, 35, then I'm still in profit and I'll still be getting good distributions from Misty. But having said that, if Misty gets to 60, then winter is going to be absolutely tanky. It will be so low. It will be like it'll be like what fiat is now. It'll be like $6, $6, $7. Even though it's 40 now, it's just going to go down and down and down. So you don't want to be buying now. You want to be buying when we're almost at the peak. Now, what is the peak? No one knows when the peak is. It doesn't matter what everyone says. No one can accurately time the top of the bull market. So a good way to know is, like, this is quite interesting, this chart, because it's the psychology of the market. It's like, when are people, like, not really many people are talking about Bitcoin. There's a little bit more hope at the moment. There's a bit of optimism. I think we're kind of here, I'd say, optimism. This rally is about to kick off. Then it'll be belief. Okay, let's start throwing some money in. And then we got thrill. And then it'll be like euphoria. And this is when you're like at the barbecue and everyone's like, hey, have you seen what Bitcoin's doing? It's gone up like 100% in the last 2 months. I'm just going to put all my money in. And that's when you know it's time to sell. Because if all your mates that don't even know about Bitcoin or aren't even interested in the stock market are suddenly like, have you seen what Bitcoin's doing? It's going crazy. I'm going to put all my money in. That's when you know that it's absolute euphoria. People that are outside of your world are talking about Bitcoin, outside of this world, the financial world, I guess, are talking about Bitcoin and selling their cars and houses to put money into Bitcoin. that's when you know we're in the euphoria stage and you should start getting out. I will start selling percentages around this point. But it's impossible to know, so you just got to keep your pulse on the market. You've got to be watching videos, you've got to be watching the graphs, you've got to be watching YouTube videos about what the expert, how they analyze it. And one guy that I like to follow, I've talked about before actually on Twitter, is Colin Talks Crypto, and he actually created this Bitcoin bull run index, which is really interesting. And it takes all these kind of figures, these kind of what you call indicators of Bitcoin. So like liquidation, like global liquidity. Like I've talked a lot about global liquidity. Global liquidity is pumping. Right, let's go back to Bitcoin, and we'll just look at the global liquidity now. So, and I'll show you what I mean in case you missed. But let's see, Bitcoin basically mirrors global liquidity with like an 80-85% correlation rate, depending. You have to move the timing around a little bit. But at the moment, this is actually a bit off. I'm just going to change this to 82 so it's more applicable. Right, and then it should be married up better. You'll see that it's hard to see. But you can see that global liquidity was at its peak when we hit that peak around the 107, 108 mark. And then it came down, and it's down, and now we're going up again because global liquidity has been flying. And we're only here, so this is too high up. It's hard to, I don't know if I'm doing this right, but this should be down here, right? So we're here. So we've still got so much liquidity to come. And it's just going to absolutely drive the price of Bitcoin into like crazy figures, along with shortage of supply, along with institutional investing and everything that I mentioned before. So that's like one of the factors and one of the indicators as to what happens, along with 2-year. You can read about this. It's called Colin Talks Crypto CBBI Index. All right, so just search for it on Google. But so what he does is he has a number. So confidence, we are at the peak, 73. So if you look now on this chart, there's a confidence CBBI number of 72, 73 right now, 73. And the Bitcoin price is at 96,000. So you can see bear markets, what the confidence is. It's 8, 5, 6, whatever. And in the top, the cycle, it's around 97. Top of the bull market, it's 95. So you can see how cyclical Bitcoin is. It's very, there's patterns to it. It goes bull, bear market, bull, bear market, bull, bear market, and bull. And this was kind of a mini bull, and then we should be going up massively from here. So don't take this as like, I'm just going to follow these numbers and that's what I'm going to sell. But for me, what I'm going to do is we're at 73 at the moment. And when it starts getting to 85 to 90, that's when I'm going to probably start either selling some Misty for winter or fiat, probably winter because it's more volatile and it'll do better, I believe. So selling Misty for winter, or at least using my dividends that I'm getting from Misty and putting them into winter to build an inverse fund so that when we hit the peak, I'm still getting loads of winter. Winter's going to be really low. This is going to be the lowest price that winter's going to be when it's at the peak here. So we're over here now, but I'm just talking about the last bull market in 2021. So when we get up to this peak here, that's when winter and fear and those inverse funds on the Bitcoin ETFs are going to be, they're going to be at its lowest in terms of price. And then, so that's when you really want to be buying the most, or switching from Misty to winter, Coney to fiat. And I'm just going to start doing that from probably 85 number of this CBBI, 85 onwards. And then so when you're in winter and fiat, that should start to pay you a nice dividend as it comes down here. Now, obviously, take these numbers with a grain of salt. There is no exact science to this. This is, I think, a really nice way of looking at it, and it gives a good indicator. So you can start looking at it from 85, from 90, and then when you get to that kind of middle 90s, that's when you kind of know you're at the peak of the bull market. It's when you should probably, I don't know, if you're a trader, you'd maybe want to start selling some Bitcoin or whatever you want to do, or exchanging your Misty for the inverse fund. But anyway, that's just what I'll be doing. And that will set me in good stead for the crypto winter. And yeah, the bear market to come, because it will come at some point and we need to be prepared. But until then, my thoughts are, my thesis is that we're still going to be in a heavy bull run for Bitcoin and crypto this year going into next year, probably mid 2026. So things are looking really good for Misty, for Coney, for LFGY, and yeah, I think that things are going to go really well this year. But anyway, let me know what you think, and yeah, see you in the next one.